Ed and Lorraine Warren traveled to North London to help a single mother raising 4 children alone in a house plagued by a supernatural spirit. Did the demon nun make you crap your pants the first time you saw it? My friend is asking, so definitely not me asking. Join us as we dissect the nightmarish intricacies of the second film from the now globally renowned horror franchise, The Conjuring 2.
This is my home. Get out now.
The voice on this tape is coming from an 11-year-old girl. They're calling it England's Amityville. There is a family that desperately needs our help.
After everything we've seen, there isn't much that rattles either of us anymore. But this one still haunts me. Does it feel like the voice is coming from inside you?
More like it's coming from behind me.
There's somebody in here! Open it! Help
me! Who's that?
The family's just a pawn.
Welcome back to our freaking 20th episode of Chamber of Chills. I'm Adam.
And I'm Cameron.
And wow, if you had told...
those bright young...
If you had told those bright young kids...
fellas.
Back in September, whenever we first started this...
last week.
If you had told them last week, we'd be here. Oh, man. No, it's been an awesome 20 episodes.
Yep.
So glad to celebrate this one with you guys.
It's just me and Adam.
It's just us.
Go hit a Cracker Barrel or something after this.
Yeah, the classic Oklahoma celebration.
That is cool, though.
Pretty sick.
Good for us.
Good for us. 20 episodes in.
Clinky clink.
Clinky clink. Room. Also, this is our first time ever not recording in 2 weeks. We had a bye week last week.
Yeah.
Just got a little busy.
It was a little rough.
But I will say I'm pretty proud we've kept it up.
Yeah.
Until now.
That's the last time.
You know,
mark my words.
You know what's funny is I think back to last October, us doing one a week.
That was crazy.
I don't even know how we did it.
Yeah. I might as well have enlisted or something. I don't know.
It's just never home. Chill's army.
It's just never home.
I know.
Well, because it's like, watch the movie.
Yeah.
You know, go gather your notes, which takes, some time.
Yeah.
Record. And then Adam has the extra step of coming in and I just leave. So,
and I do a little bit of editing.
Yeah.
But altogether, every episode probably takes us, I'd say collectively, 6 hours.
Yeah. I'd say
maybe more.
Think about it.
Maybe
like
say
for
7.
me, it's probably 6. For you, it's probably a little more.
7 or 8 or 12.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It's not ever that much, but no, it's back in October, our wives forgot they were married to us.
Yeah.
Because we didn't see them. It was all for you guys.
Though. It was all a good time.
No, I'm just kidding. It was fun. That was when we launched. So,
yeah.
Anyways, The Conjuring 2.
We need to pat ourselves on the back.
We need to pat ourselves on the back a little bit more. Let's talk more about ourselves. That's why everyone's here.
Exactly. Just a nice dive into Cameron and Adam's life.
Yeah. One of these days, we'll have an episode where we don't talk. My voice just cracked so bad. Where we don't talk about films.
Crack that egg.
And we just talk about everything else.
Yeah.
And we get 2 listens and it's us. But that's fine.
I'd listen to it.
Exactly.
2 listeners. That's what I just said.
But it's fine. Film details for The Conjuring 2.
Tell me about it.
While you guys are here listening. This R-rated mystery horror film was released in 2016. It was directed by James Cameron. His first horror...
I was like, what? Adam?
I'm just kidding.
Cut.
The other James...
Yep.
James Wan.
Yep.
Okay, this is crazy. James Wan's filmography
really
is wild. I knew he did a lot. I had never looked at his whole filmography until this. Wild, okay?
I'm trying to think in my head now.
So get this little BTS fun fact for you.
Okay.
He wrote and directed Saw 2003,
Really?
a 9-minute short film that then got made into the feature film in 2004.
Really?
He wrote it as a short film first.
Did not know that.
Me neither.
That's super cool, though.
I didn't know that he wrote
I didn't know
Saws.
he had anything to do with Saw.
I know. He is
Huh.
the creator of Saw.
Wow. Good for
He
you,
is
dude.
the Sawer.
He's the Saw man.
He's Mr. Saw, man.
That's
Okay.
crazy.
He also did Dead Silence. He
Oh,
directed
yeah.
both Insidious 1 and 2.
Okay, I
Not
knew
the
that
others.
one.
He directed The Conjuring, obviously.
Yeah.
Only number 1 and 2. He didn't direct the other one.
Yeah, we could
He
tell.
directed, yeah, I know. We can really tell. Fast and Furious 7.
He did?
They were like, let's just fit this guy in real quick.
What in the world?
Yeah. And then Aquaman 1 and 2. So really
Wow.
just ranges.
Very diverse.
He's also produced 56 films,
Oh my gosh.
including 22
How old is this guy?
upcoming films.
I thought he was younger
He's
for some reason.
16.
I thought you were going to say like 60. Either one would be crazy.
Yeah, I know. No, I don't actually know how old he is. Probably
James
40s,
Wan,
50s.
age 47. What a life.
47.
Man, this guy's been killing it.
He has 22 upcoming produced films. What is he doing?
So he was working on Saw when he was our age, and we're in the chamber. The chamber that will.
He was writing Saw, and we're just dissecting.
We're talking about.
the same. Yeah. Hey,
Hey.
it's fine. It's a different journey.
Yeah, different journey. We're living the hero's journey.
we're in our own odyssey.
We're
over
the
here.
underdogs. Dang, man.
Oh, man.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, enough about Mr. Wan, except now we're going into the writers. It was written by Mr. Wan.
Really?
And Chad Hayes and Carrie W. Hayes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
either brother and sister or husband and wife.
Yeah, or complete coincidence.
Or crazy coincidence. Where Wan is just obsessed with Hayes.
We are on one today.
Okay, star cast members. The lovely Vera Farmiga
Classic.
as Lorraine. The lovely Patrick Wilson as Ed. And Madison Wolfe as Janet.
Yep.
Awards and nominations. It only received nominations. It won a few tiny things. It did not win anything notable. So 2017 nominations it received: Saturn Award for Best Horror Film, People's Choice Awards for Best Favorite Thriller Movie, and a few Fright Meter nominations for Best Director, James Wan, Best Actress, Vera Farmiga, and Best Cinematography, Don Burgess, and Best Special Effects.
Okay.
The ratings it received: IMDb 7.3 out of 10. That's 300,000 ratings. Rotten Tomatoes 80%, and Letterboxd 3.4 out of 5.
All right.
The budget for this film was $40 million, which today is $52 million. Crazy enough, that's 8 years ago.
That is crazy.
$12 million inflation.
I hate when we do the inflation for
I know.
more recent movies.
Ah, that is
'Cause it's-
insane.
Yeah.
Global box office, $321.8 million.
Jeez.
And then today, that's $418.7 million.
Man.
Just another $100 million
That's
for
great.
you.
Yeah, good for us.
How long filming took? It was 50 days, which
Yeah.
this was a little weird. 40 days filming on sound stages at Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank and 10 days on location in London.
Huh.
I would have thought they were in London way
Yeah.
more, but I guess it makes
10
sense.
days. All right.
Yeah.
Probably just a lot of those exterior shots.
I know.
Very nice.
So that's it for the film details.
Well, thank you, Lord
Shall-
Adam.
Hey,
Sir Adam.
hey, you're welcome.
Is it time
I
for
think-
me to shine?
It's time for you to shine.
All right, I've
Sir
got a
Cameron.
summary for you guys. For those of you who have not seen the movie in either a long time or ever, and you just really don't care to, and you want to understand what we're talking about. The Conjuring 2 is the second installment. I don't know why I wrote that. It's called The Conjuring 2. It's The Conjuring 2. You already knew that. I guess in case the title didn't, get through to you. Anyways, this film continues to explore the real life cases of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. This film, my allergies, dude. Okay. Just a
Don't worry,
sniffle.
my editing's only going to take 18 hours.
Just a sniffle in between each sentence. This film. Okay, I'm bringing it together. This film is set in 1977, and the movie opens with the Warrens investigating the Amityville murders, which leads to Lorraine experiencing a horrifying vision that haunts her. The main plot then shifts to Enfield, North London, where the Hodgson family begins to experience strange occurrences in their home. Peggy Hodgson, a single mother of 4, is at her wit's end when her daughter Janet starts showing signs of demonic possession. As the supernatural activities escalate, with furniture moving on its own and Janet speaking in a demonic voice, the local media and investigators become involved, but they are unable to provide any solutions. The church requests the Warrens to investigate, despite Lorraine's reluctance due to her premonitions of Ed's death. Upon arriving in England, the Warrens quickly become embroiled in the haunting, witnessing terrifying events themselves. They discover that the spirit of Bill Wilkins, who previously lived and died in the house, is responsible for some of the hauntings. That is until they begin to uncover a more malevolent force, and with Lorraine's psychic abilities, they discover that there is a demonic spirit that is behind the haunting and has been using the spirit of Bill Wilkins as a pawn to torment the family and target the Warrens. At the end of the film, the Warrens are battling to save Janet from the demonic possession and banish the demon back to hell, culminating in a tense showdown where Lorraine uses her knowledge of the demon's name to defeat it. The movie ends with the family safe and the Warrens returning home.
Wow.
That's A to Z. Right
A
there
to
for you.
Z. Conjuring.
I might have missed a couple of in-between letters, but that's essentially what we're working with here.
Hey, that was a beautiful summary, might I
Thank you.
say.
I definitely wrote it.
I feel like I just rewatched the film. So thank you for that.
Basically a live presentation there.
What if you listened back and I just cut all of it?
The Conjuring 2. Okay.
Okay, now we're on the...
Yeah, Mike Wazowski.
Yeah. Hey, Breakdown Ballroom. It's time to break this bad boy down.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Favorite scenes.
Yep.
I don't know if you put it. I did put it.
What'd you put?
I put kind of the intro.
Okay.
Kind of.
Kind of the intro.
But I really liked how they jumped right into a super well-known murder case.
Yeah.
Because it just piqued the interest right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like jumping right into Amityville. Because everyone's very familiar with that and not really anyone's familiar. Well, I wasn't familiar with the London case.
Yeah, me either.
But they were saying it's like London's Amityville.
Yeah.
So I thought that kind of was cool, especially right after The Conjuring 1. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, how is this going to top the first one? And then it's like,
Totally.
oh, boom, what? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then it shows the demon nun for the first time. I remember how I felt the first time I saw that demon and how dark it was.
Yeah.
Which it was different watching it this time.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen it a lot, but I just remember that feeling I had the first time I saw it.
Totally.
Which is what I'm going to go off of a lot for a lot of my notes, honestly.
Okay, I said the same thing because I told Adam about this. I don't know why, just a little BTS in my life. In college, my roommates are listening to this. They will know. We had this on DVD, and it was like our party trick. If anyone came over to the apartment, I don't know why, but like we resorted to watching The Conjuring 2. That's like all we did for some reason. So at the end of our time living there, we had probably seen it. I've probably seen The Conjuring 2 more than any other movie, if I'm being honest.
That is
But
crazy.
That's what I'm trying to base my notes off of, though. I remember seeing it in theaters with my parents, actually, and I remember some of the feelings there. So I'm kind of trying to do the same thing because there's that first time is just like unmatched, especially for a movie like this. But
Yeah.
I agree. I do think it's cool that they introduce you to like the Amityville case, but then it like doesn't have really any time to shine in the movie. They're just like using,
They use it as
I
like a
respect it.
gateway
Yeah.
to this new case, which then showing the text on the screen, which they did this in the first one, but about the actual case and how it's based on the true story, just immediately catapults you into the real world of Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah, totally.
And sets it apart from other films that are not based on true stories, because then it just adds this like heaviness of
Yeah.
like, holy crap. You know?
Totally. My next one's kind of lame, but it follows that. I like those first setup, not even scene, like shots, kind of like a compilation, like introducing you into that London setting. Like I thought that was kind of fun. Because I think the film is very atmospheric.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just like the feel of like that transition. You definitely feel that transition from like, okay, we're in America, now we're in England. And it feels, and sometimes a little too much, like they're definitely trying to show you like we are now in London.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of cool. So I like that part, but it doesn't really count as like a scene. Just worth mentioning. But
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It was, like the American demon in London.
exactly. Exactly.
Reminiscent of American Werewolf.
We should write that.
I should have made that one of my movie titles. Dang it.
Should have.
No, I agree. It was cool. My next one, the scream coming from the tent.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I'm gonna try not to say it too many times, but the first time I saw it, I just remember chills. Like,
yeah.
which you can typically anticipate jump scares.
Yeah.
And this was a pretty jump scare heavy movie.
Yes.
But I remember the chills I got in the theater because you're not expecting that kind of jump scare. Usually you're expecting like a loud thud or something.
Yeah.
And it's just this guy just
He
yells
just
at the top of his lungs.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't expecting it. I was expecting, especially because it was scored by Joseph Bishara. And if you've seen Insidious, like the violins are so big in his composition. But I was kind of expecting something like that. And I just heard this blood curdling man scream. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that was crazy.
Yeah. My next one is kind of a jump. Not too much of a jump. The daughters are attacked by the spirit of Bill. They run out, wake up their mom. She goes in the room to investigate, finds their like crappy little Ouija board, you know. And then like the dresser, as she's like getting onto them, like, have you been messing with this? And then the dresser just flies across the room.
Dude.
I love and appreciate that so much because I feel like in traditional horror, it's always like no one believes the kids, you know, until like the very end. And then it's like, oh my gosh, they were telling the truth. And, you know, so you kind of feel like it might go there for a second where the mom's just like, you're making it all up.
Mm-hmm.
But before she even has a chance to like be a skeptic, she's just interrupted by this, you know, and then same with the police. The police come over then and the police are investigating. And again, it goes against the norm for horror because the police never figure out what it is or they never see it for themselves. First scene, they see the chair like go across the room and you're like, I respect it. So I liked those choices and those scenes.
I literally put the same thing. I couldn't agree more because you're exactly right. Typically, like you're not expecting that because you're like, she's in the middle of saying, I don't believe you. It's because you had a Ouija board and you're just being stupid and
Scaring
having terrible dreams. Yeah. And in the middle of saying that, that dresser just flies into the door. And then you can just see the shock on her face. Like she doesn't jump or anything. She's just like mortified.
Yes, for sure.
That kind of acting, I feel like you don't really see a lot.
Yeah.
And I kind of relate to that in that setting. It felt more realistic to me because like if I was in that situation, that's exactly how I would react. Like I would, I'm a freezer. Like I freeze up in fear. Like I just lock and I'm just like, what just happened? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly how I probably would have responded to.
That's a great point. And I should have, because like her acting there was so good. Like her face is like so real, like you were just saying, and it puts you in it a little bit more.
Yeah, because usually people like jump and like scream
or whatever.
She's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you can see the fear on her face.
And then it cuts to them running across the street, which is a pretty funny cut.
Yes, I agree.
But I think it's fun. Jumping back a little bit, and more just this part, not necessarily an entire sequence like that one, but like the My House jump scare in the living room with Janet playing with the TV.
I do like that one, yeah.
What's so annoying is I did jump, even just watching it the other day. And
it gets you.
Dude, I jump now. I used to not jump and I do. But I can't necessarily say I loved it because it felt, the line itself felt a little haunted house jump scare to me and not to aid the storyline.
Yeah.
But I have to acknowledge that I did jump.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Well, and again, going back to it's my word of the day, I guess, but atmospheric. I love just the setting you feel in that scene because it's like nice and bright outside, but it's still rainy, kind of, you know. And I feel like that's pretty accurate for London. I say that I've never been, but you know, it's
every time we go to London,
every time it's raining,
it's
like
usually
that.
Pretty rainy.
But I do think it like just feels right, if that makes any sense. Like you're just watching it like, yeah, exactly.
It's ripe London atmosphere.
She's just chilling on the couch and then, you know, it builds up and then I think it's a great, and I know there can be such a thing, but I think it's a good jump scare. I agree. The words could have been, you know, a little different. Because
she sees him in the reflection of the TV and looks back and he's not there. And then the camera cuts back to her and he's right behind her and says, my house.
Yeah.
And I was like,
welcome.
It was just too, it was just like
Flo Rida was there.
He starts singing "Welcome to My House" by Flo Rida. It was just weird. No, it's so stupid. I
just want to like start this episode over.
Yeah, let's just restart.
Start from the top.
But he was like facing toward the camera.
Yeah,
it was too perfect.
Yeah,
it just felt like a haunted house. I was like, yeah,
I get that.
Hey, got me. Beyond that,
yeah,
I'm sure you also maybe put this. Maybe also you put it.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, then yes, I did.
Lorraine and her daughter.
Yeah.
Seeing the demon
100%
in the house for the first time.
Yeah.
And then that leading to the painting room scene,
Yes.
which,
The whole sequence is.
gosh,
Yeah. I don't know if it's
Potentially-
like jumping, but like I think that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
I
'Cause
think it might be my favorite scene.
it's so good.
Yeah.
I remember talking about seeing it for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Dude. Oh.
The chills I had.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, like, and I put this later on, but I am jumping ahead. That's the kind of scene that whenever you're a kid, you have
Mhm.
nightmares, or even like now, you walk through your house alone at night and you just like get to your hallway
Yeah.
and you just have this like, I really hope nobody's standing at the end of the hallway kind of
totally.
fear. And they play into that so well
yeah.
with the demon nun standing at the end of the hallway, just and like perfectly centered staring
So I
at
was
them.
going to say, totally. It's like the way she is like standing, the way that she's like framed at the end of the hall, even like the wallpaper, like it just all fits.
Stark
Like,
contrast.
it all just looks so good.
Yeah.
And it's so creepy and nothing's happening, which is like, I think a great example of like when we talk about sometimes less is more. I think that scene is so effective because she's literally just standing there.
Yeah.
Or it. I don't. It's not really a she. I guess
I guess
it's
it's
taking the form of a nun, but
yeah.
the demon's just at the end of the hall, and it's just staring, and it just is so creepy.
Yeah.
It's so in the way it just walks off. It's and then leading to the painting scene. It's all just super good.
Honey? What's wrong?
Mom. Who's that?
Go back.
And like you said, I remember that scene really jacking me up the first time I saw it. I was like actually scared. Like I feel like there aren't very many scenes that like
No.
scare me, but I remember first time I watched that, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. And then of course we called it out. I'm sure you're potentially going to call it out in the fact for us, but seeing the letters on the shelf, you
Yes.
know, it spells out the demon's name early on.
Yeah.
In several instances, you just don't see it. You don't realize it the first time you watch it.
Yeah.
And then the painting on the wall with its eyes glowing.
Yeah.
Like that shot itself is
Super
freaking
good.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then the shadow on the wall walking into the painting,
Yeah.
just chef's kiss.
Yeah. That's. I mean, they were cooking on that one for sure.
Yeah.
My next one was, and I kind of have it like I have to add. I know it's a little far fetched because I saw people complain about it, but I
Okay.
kind of like it because again, first time I saw it.
Yeah.
But the train scene when they're leaving, like they've packed up. It's apparently a hoax, so they're like, okay, we're out of here. But then they get on the train,
Mm-hmm.
and the far fetched part comes in when they cross the tapes. I get it.
He drops them and they just perfectly,
They purposely
make an
X on the floor. It's like X marks the spot.
And
You're
he's like,
okay,
X. Wait a second.
pull up the tape recorders. So I get it, but I remember seeing that for the first time, kind of getting the best way I can describe it is like they gave us another shot of adrenaline to like get back because you're like, ooh, like okay, yeah, it's not over yet. They're getting back in there, and I love just the clever, you know, maybe he was scared of the demon that he was being like captured by, but like saying two different sentences by omitting certain words. Like he really thought that in advance, I guess. But
He's a really smart ghost.
yeah, I guess so. But then, you know, they reveal that he's been saying like, it won't help. It won't let me go.
Help
or
me. It
something.
won't let me go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
help me. It won't let me go. And then they like rush back to the house and sure enough, everything's going down. I enjoy the adrenaline of that scene, but
Yeah.
I know it's far-fetched.
No, I actually wrote the same thing. My favorite part of that scene, though, was right after you hear it, then just Lorraine is shot into a vision,
Yeah.
and then that like bass just drops, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, okay,
Yeah.
like that's crazy.
If I'm right about this,
Help me! It won't let me go! Help me! It won't let me go!
I put a few like tiny things leading up to that, not necessarily scenes, but more like
Okay.
shots that I really liked.
Sure.
I liked the shot of Ed whenever he was interviewing Bill in the chair, how Bill was out of focus.
Oh,
It
my
started
gosh.
like with Janet, but then
Yes.
like slowly in the same
Slowly.
shot shifted to him and he was out of focus.
Mhm.
I just liked that shot.
Love that shot.
The shot of Janet seeing the crosses like turn upside down in the room.
Yeah.
There's just like a specific shot of like, it was a close up of her and there was like a tear rolling down her eyes and you just see out of focus in the background, the cross is turning upside down. And I just thought that was just a cool shot.
Yeah.
And I've thought about scenes like that in general, like shooting scenes like that. Like, would you feel blasphemous to shoot a scene like that? You know what I mean? Like turning all these crosses upside down.
I get that.
Or even like in The Exorcist, like, which not to go into that right now, but like
that one's, I think, on a different level.
Totally.
There are definitely scenes I would feel uncomfortable shooting on that one. The Conjuring 2, though, yeah,
just shooting like dark scenes that portray, because we just shot a short film, you know, that's like supposed to portray like the lack of God, right? You know, and like we even like one of the lines says like Jesus Christ, like as a curse word, to showcase that having negative effects, which is kind of similar, I guess. But like, I don't know. I've just thought like shooting really dark stuff like that, like how do you?
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. What's the line?
I think they're being haunted by St. Peter. That's all it is. I don't know. I mean, it's tough for sure. Because the other thing, I do think these movies, and we've talked about this before, they do a good job of like showing how you can overcome that darkness with, you know, Jesus. Sometimes literally the blood of Jesus, but we're not going to talk about it.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started on that.
But I do think, you know, they at least, it's not all of the upside down crosses. There's also, you know, the name of Jesus and the power in that. And so I think it balances out a little bit if that makes it justifiable. But I don't know. I could see an argument being made for either side.
It's like, I guess, as long as you're maybe showcasing the light, like it's probably not that big of a deal. But very interesting.
Yeah.
Another shot, Ed looking at Lorraine while he played guitar and her smiling. I just thought it was a precious
That's a cute
little moment.
I love them as a couple.
I also know that was probably added in to raise the stakes of her not wanting to lose him.
Yeah.
So I was at first I was like, why was that scene in there?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, it's probably just to elevate the stakes.
Hey, yeah, raise those stakes.
Hey, and I guess to add more dynamic to the film because it was a cute part.
Yeah.
I did have the Lorraine saying the name of the demon and then it like transforms into this crazy looking beast for like half a second.
I do like the transformation a lot.
More so just the transformation for like that half a second.
To reveal like what's underneath.
That it wasn't like just this nun. It was like a beast.
It shows that it's a demon.
Yeah. Just cool imagery.
Yeah.
But again, more so like a lot of shots that I really liked because we'll go into cinematography here in a little bit. But I loved the cinematography.
Me too. Yeah, for sure.
Concepts.
So, at least for me, and we've said this about some other ones, it to me is not the most unique. You know, to me, it's like a very traditional haunted house premise. But it's what you do with that. You know, we've said that about, what was it? There was a movie that we said that about. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But you take a simple premise and you make it your own, you know, artsy, tasteful, whatever you want to, you know, call it.
Yeah.
I think James Wan did a really good job at taking a, you know, based on a true story, this case and making it his own thing. So that's where I'd go with that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It might have been Pearl because it was such a simple concept.
Pearl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is the last one we did.
Sure. But yeah, no, totally. I think it's just a matter of how can you work within certain parameters of like, you know, where's your plot going and what can I add to make this, you know, just taking it to the next level. And I think James Wan does a really good job with that.
Totally. I think the storyline itself is really great. Focusing on the experiences of Ed and Lorraine Warren is a great concept.
Yeah.
The concept of the Conjuring universe as a whole is a completely other topic that I will wait to get into.
Oh, yeah. I was ready for that one.
Oh, man, dude. Yeah. Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
Director's touch.
Big fan of James Wan, always have been. You could tell he cared about it and, you know, doing it justice.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's honestly just, in my opinion, an incredible filmmaker and writer. And you even already made mention of this, but you can tell whenever whenever a director stops making films in the franchise they've created, and it's evident after The Conjuring 2 and even after Insidious 2 that he stopped.
Totally.
Because his style of filmmaking is so wildly different than the rest.
Yeah.
And he's definitely solidified himself as one of the kings of horror through Saw, Insidious, and The Conjurings alone.
Yeah, I think he's kind of slept on. I mean, credibility. I feel like nobody really thinks of James Wan. At least I don't typically. I think of, plenty of other directors, but he's freaking earned it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
On to acting. What'd you think?
Hey,
about these British actors?
Last time we got to talk about our Queen Vera.
Yeah.
Was an orphan, which was freaking long ago.
I am a huge fan of hers.
Oh, man. But you already know what I'm going to say. So she's just the best.
She's always going to kill it. I think her and Patrick Wilson, honestly, they make a great duo.
I totally agree.
I love their portrayals as Ed and Lorraine Warren. I think they always just do so good. Even Conjuring 3, like I wasn't madly in love with that movie, but you can't deny that they're just so good.
Yeah.
So, especially her though. I mean, you can't, they're both great. She's like really great.
Yeah. Their chemistry is so good, like you said. You can't go wrong with Patrick Wilson either. He's going to give a solid performance every time.
Yeah.
And low-key, I thought Madison Wolfe played Janet really well.
I said the exact same thing.
There were a few cheesy lines
Yeah.
that she had to deliver. I don't think there was anything on her, though.
No, I agree.
Especially whenever she was like half the demon.
Yes.
There was one scene I thought she was like falling in love with Patrick Wilson just by how she was acting.
The way she looked.
While he talked to her. And I was like, hey, can you blame her?
Hey.
Look at this guy.
He's singing Elvis and chasing
Singing
demons.
Elvis, fixing her sink, chasing demons.
He's got it all down.
What else can you ask
He's a man's
for?
man right there.
That's all I want to be in a husband.
I know. He's a stud. I'll give him that. What do you think about the screenplay?
Well, I have a few thoughts.
Me too.
One line, he's just a wanker, ignore him, is my new favorite line ever. And it's
Who
right at the
says that?
beginning. They're at the school.
Oh, it's the, yeah.
I love British diction.
Yeah,
Just
the best.
Wanker is the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, there were a few lines that I thought were like really good. And then there were a few that I was like, who was in the room when that line was written?
Completely agree. And so you said there's a few different writers. I just wonder if some had a hand on different parts. But like, I said the exact same thing. I have to say the writing was just meh to me.
Yeah.
But I think that's just because there were moments that felt either forced or just kind of cringy.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but just sometimes,
Force is the right word because there were a few. I mean, there was one that I was like, I wrote it down because like, what was that line?
Which line was it?
Imagine a halo of light around you.
Oh my
and
gosh.
it'll protect you.
Yes.
That's at the beginning too.
Yeah, that's how you kickstart the movie. It's not the Amityville case.
I'm hoping that's accurate and not written for drama, but also that it's not accurate and Lorraine didn't actually say that because
Surely
that's
not.
the worst line ever.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
I was even thinking like, okay,
imagine a halo of light.
They're like Christian and they, that doesn't,
that's not going to do much.
That's not going to do much.
Yeah.
Just picture a halo of light.
Yeah.
And it'll protect you.
Don't know about that one.
I was like, Lorraine.
Yeah.
Come on.
Not effective.
I thought Vera's conversation with Janet on the swing set was a good conversation.
I like that conversation.
I like that one.
Yeah.
And then the comic relief of Patrick Wilson's character saying, it's so small.
The camera.
About the camera.
Yeah.
It's just a funny.
Just a classic dad knee slapper right there.
I know. That's
yeah. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on the screenplay?
No, not really. I think could have been better. That's all. That's kind of where I'll leave it. And it's hard though, because like going off of Pearl, I thought the screenplay was really good.
Yeah.
So you can't win them all, unless you get down to our top 10. We'll see. Score.
I love the score.
Yeah.
I mean, the low choir and humming is like just so eerie.
Such a classic. And it gets the job done every time.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think it just, if you do it right, I mean, it's very ominous and very freaking creepy. The sound design too was great.
It was.
The footsteps on the creaky floor, like just while she's sitting in bed, you're like, that's knocking, like my worst nightmare.
The chair rocking. There's a lot of good creepy sounds.
Even the voice effects, whenever like a demon was yelling or whatever, there's like that bassy lower end on that, like just made it feel more powerful. It was good.
I agree. There's only one moment where I felt like it was misplaced, and it's when the fire truck rolls into...
Dude, I made the same note.
Was it Billy?
Yes.
It rolls into his room, and all of a sudden, there's kind of this like... It's like a dun 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 moment, and you're like, that just felt unnecessary. Because the fire truck just rolls in, it's like, boom. You're like, what? It wasn't that bad.
It just felt over
Yeah,
dramatic.
it's a little silly, but that was kind of the only time where I was like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that's funny. What do you think about the cinematography?
Really good. I keep saying it. Very atmospheric, which I always love.
Yeah.
There were some really fun shots too. There's one shot in particular that really stood out to me, but it's like the mom is talking to Billy. I know there's another son, but he's kind of just a background character.
He's
But-
in 2 scenes, I think.
Yeah. So the camera's down and it pans up, goes in through like the hallway window into the bedroom with the older sister, who
Yep.
then walks out into the hallway and it follows her like it just kind of tracks.
Oh,
I really like that. I thought that was kind of fun.
it's
But
so fun.
It's like the only time we kind of get a scene that looks like that. But
I know.
I thought it was kind of cool.
I totally agree. It's just said you can tell Juan likes to add a somewhat artistic approach to his storytelling.
Yeah.
The long takes and shots that make it feel continuous, like you just said, are so fun.
Yeah.
The lighting was insane.
Lighting was so good.
The scene transitions
really good.
were really great. I thought a few of them were like really cool.
Yeah.
And then altogether, I was really impressed with the cinematography, especially because I feel like often in horror movies, maybe even before the Conjurings or before James Wan started to take this approach, like it wasn't really artsy. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It was more
totally.
like straight to the point. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ari Aster and Robert Eggers have now entered the game, and like they're just freaking kings of art.
Yeah. They've stepped up for
I
sure.
know. It's cool to see the horror genre evolve, though.
I'm so glad it has. You know, there's always that fear, like, what if the golden age is over? But I feel like we're still gonna. I mean, we're okay. We're in good hands.
Well,
I think.
if you go back and watch like 80s horror,
Yeah.
I mean, it was like just so slasher heavy and then like gore filled
yeah.
and like over dramatic. And then you get into the House is Haunted type genre, but then that starts to get oversaturated. But then it's brought back to the market with things like The Conjuring and Insidious. And like, I think that horror, in my opinion, has been revived in a really, really interesting way.
Totally.
But then, not even going into Robert Eggers and freaking Ari Aster because they just have their own wheelhouse.
Yeah, I was gonna say we get a lot of like conceptual kind of art house horror now. I feel like as compared to other times in history, but that's a good point though because the 80s was. I mean, that's like slasher baby. That's all it was.
Have you seen the trailer for Longlegs?
dude?
That looks
Like
another.
Did you see that before Monkey Man?
Yes.
I saw the trailer before Monkey Man.
Yeah. Marin turned to me. She said, "You're not seeing that." I said, "I cannot wait to see that."
Yeah, I thought the same thing. My dad leaned over to me and did like a thumbs down, and I was like, "I'm seeing that with Adam for
Dude,
sure."
I'm very excited. to see
Opening
that.
night, baby.
Oh yeah. I did add a note about production design.
Really? Okay.
I just said the house was a great set. It felt poverty stricken, which
Yes.
just added to the overall like hopelessness feeling of the film. And then matching it to the actual footage in the credits, I was like, oh wow, this looks identical. Like even down to the posters on the girls' walls. I was
Totally.
like, oh my gosh, it looks like the same room.
Yeah.
So
props to them.
can you imagine being the family watching
pun
this back
intended.
though?
Oh yeah, for real. They're like, that's our house.
That's my room. In a British accent. That's me poster. They don't say me. I'm stupid. Anyone who's British listening to this, I'm so sorry.
They just turned it off
We're
right
just
there.
two stupid Americans.
Unfollowed. Oh man, that's funny.
Okay. Overall impact. What you think?
Okay.
It's hard to go into overall impact too of the Conjurings without pulling the first one into it.
Yes, I was gonna say it's delicate because we can have that conversation later in this episode, but I do think the Conjuring universe, without going into too much, has obviously become a staple. It's one of the more popular horror franchises of the 2010s. And this entry definitely contributes to that because it was like in that golden era when James Wan was at, the mantle. But I do think, and we'll talk about it more later, it got a little watered down by quantity over quality. But I think this movie overall is, it's always going to be a good one.
Yeah.
It's always a classic,
Yeah, I agree. It was iconic whenever it came out. I mean, the first one was very iconic, but I think this one was a good follow-up.
Yeah.
The impact Juan has had in general is crazy. So I just think this film plays a part in further solidifying his stake in the horror realm.
Yeah.
But to your point, it has sadly been so freaking watered down since its release due to the Conjuring and Nun franchise just wanting to make more money.
Yeah.
We have made so many jokes about the Nun, so our audience knows we hate it so much.
I hate it so much.
And I really tried to approach this film not thinking about those other films because it's not fair to the film, but it is kind of the spark that ignites those other films.
Yeah.
Which makes me...
They just lost
so much credibility.
Because then they came out with how many Annabelle movies and then the Nun movie. And some of the Annabelle movies were okay.
Yeah.
But the Nun movies in particular, both times I've seen them, we saw them together. And both times we've walked out just like shaking our heads like, what is going on? Like, what are they doing?
I'm shaking my head right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The blood of Jesus.
I think for me, the Nun is such a good villain, such a creepy presence. But what makes it so good in The Conjuring 2 is it feels so out of place. So like seeing the Nun in your hallway of your home, speaking, in her shoes, like it's terrifying.
Yeah.
So like just creepy to look at. It just makes you feel gross. But then for the Nun movies, it just takes place at an abbey in Romania. And I think it fits more and it makes it way less of a contrast. And it just doesn't translate at all. Like I want to see the Nun again in like a more modern or like, urban area, I guess. Because I think that is so much creepier. Like the Nun in like a public setting or like in your house is so much creepier than like in an old abbey.
Yeah. Well, and you already said it about the scene, but I mean, we talk about this so much, especially with monster flicks, which they turn the Nun into a monster flick.
100%.
But like the less is more approach, it's you scare the audience way more whenever you leave a lot up to their imagination.
Yeah.
The more you show something, the less they're imagining. The less they're imagining.
We just locked eyes.
The less they're imaginationing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So,
no, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and for those who haven't seen The Nun, we've brought up this twice, the blood of Jesus thing, just so you're aware of how stupid this is.
James Wan did not write this.
James Wan did not write The Nun. The Nun is based off of the Conjuring universe that James Wan created.
Yeah.
But the end of The Nun, how she escapes, doesn't even kill the demon because it comes back later.
Yeah.
How she escapes the demon is there's this vial that they have of Jesus's own blood that they, in their abbey, that she literally drinks, puts in her mouth.
She gargles that crap.
She gargles the blood of Jesus. That sounds blasphemous.
Like the actual blood of Jesus.
Yes. And spits it in the demon's face.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing this, thinking, what
I remember I tried so hard because I wanted to like the Nun so much. Because Conjuring 2, I mean, the demon leaves an impression. So when they announced the Nun, I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
I tried so hard. In that specific scene because I was like, no, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, no, it doesn't. This is so dumb. So they just fell off for sure.
Fell off for sure.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Well,
that's it for our breakdown.
Time for Fact Forest.
We're getting into the random fun facts about the film / making.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Take it away.
So I'm going to be honest. I wanted more, but it's still good. There's just some films. There's just some films where the BTS is like, whoa.
Dude, Pearls was pretty crazy.
Pearls was great. This one, I was like, it's good. That's really going to get you guys excited. But while promoting the film in June 2016, star Vera Farmiga was still suffering from a swollen lymph node she received during filming due to the intense screaming she had to perform. Due to technical challenges, she would sometimes do 50 takes in a row, all featuring her screaming. Worth mentioning because she is great at screaming, I will say.
She's a scream queen.
She's a scream queen for sure. But that does suck. James Wan was offered a life-altering amount of money in order to direct The Fate of the Furious, which I think was the 8th one. I don't know.
50 grand?
$50K.
That would alter my life.
However, he turned that opportunity down to direct this film instead. He said, "I feel rejuvenated to tell a scary story one more time."
And then he did
So he did
number
this one.
7.
He did 7, yeah.
Interesting.
So maybe he still got the life-altering amount of money. I don't know.
That's so subjective.
Yeah, I was gonna say for him and me, we're on different different tax brackets there. So I don't know about
That's
that.
funny.
All scenes featuring the nun were added during reshoots, replacing the original design of a dark demon with horns. This is probably my favorite BTS fact.
Oh, wow.
This happened because director James Wan wished to expand the story of Lorraine Warren having her faith questioned. Therefore, he designed the demon to resemble a holy icon. The original design can be seen at the end of the climax when the demon is defeated. So we still got to see it, his original idea, but the nun was added in reshoots, which is so wild to me.
Whoa.
But then yeah.
I want to see.
Which is crazy because it has its moments throughout the film, like the painting and
Yeah.
but yeah, I thought that was kind of wild.
I really want to see that now. I want to see
know.
what the full demon looked like before.
Totally. Yeah, me too.
Interesting.
The remaining members of the Hodgson family visited the set. Frances O'Connor, who portrays their late mother, refused to meet them as she feared it would affect her performance. How would you feel about that if you were playing like the mom and the real life kids were like coming to the set? Would you feel weird or would you meet them?
I would meet them.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like I'd meet them,
Yeah.
but I'm
Because
also
it's
not
like, I don't know.
a real actor.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard, but yeah, I guess she was worried it would affect how she would perform.
Interesting.
So
Huh.
on the first day of shooting, a priest was brought in to bless the set, as he should have been.
Yes.
Some have claimed that the real Janet Hodgson is a gifted ventriloquist or has the power to manipulate voices, and she admitted to faking some of the events. She revealed that around 2% of the haunting was phony during an interview with The Telegraph. So 2%. It's a very small amount, but
yeah, I was going to say that's not very much. But
it would
I
be
mean,
hard living in that time and seeing these things in the media and like taking it as truth. So like all the skepticism, I was like, I get it. That would be kind of hard to buy this, But then if you like look at some of the stuff for this case, it's pretty jarring.
I feel like it's a little. I mean, it's so different than Amityville too, because Amityville was just like an actual like incident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
this
like,
was this one's more
claimed
like
possession. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
interesting.
Patrick Wilson did his own singing, so good for him.
Hey, he's also in Phantom of the Opera, so
Oh my gosh, you're right.
yeah. So he does be singing.
Oh, okay. Good for him.
He does slay.
He did. One of the real life allegations that wasn't featured in the movie was that the Hodgson children's toys were thrown around and were too hot to touch. And then lastly, the actress portraying Janet, Madison Wolfe, is actually an American using an English accent, having grown up in New Orleans, Louisiana,
Wow.
which does give me a little more like, 'cause, I mean, she fooled me. So it gives me a little more like, good job, Madison, because
Hey,
I thought she was really good.
she was. I
I never-
totally thought she was.
Never would have guessed she was not British.
Yeah, good for you,
Good for you.
Madison.
And that's it for me.
Okay.
My English accent.
Well, that's it for me. Mishap Mountain. I caught a few things,
Okay.
and then I did find a few other things on the internet. I'm sure you had some stuff too.
Yes.
So the things that I caught, I also did see 2 of them were on the internet, but I also caught them. So the first one, when Maurice Gross speaks with the possessing spirit Bill, the spirit plays the knock knock game.
Mhm.
Gross is recorded as clearly pausing for a second or so before saying in a very flat tone with falling inflection, "Very well, who's there?" When the recording is later played by Father Gordon to the Warrens, Gross is heard responding almost immediately to Bill and with a rising inflection. Even allowing for frequency shifts due to the tape recorder playback speed, there shouldn't be an inflection change unless the playback version is a different recording altogether. So I remember thinking like, not about the inflection stuff, but more
Right.
about like, that was like sped up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So it just sounded like they re-recorded
Yeah.
it.
At around 1 hour and 50 minutes, I guess that door where the guy's trying to break it down with the axe, there were already like marks on the door. I'm sure you saw that one.
Yeah.
I did not see the
Tape
the
recording.
tape recorder. I didn't see that one, but that's now that I'm on here, I'm seeing that one. So good for me. That is interesting though.
Yeah. I thought about this as soon as he started playing. The guitar Ed plays is just in perfect tune.
Oh,
After like, no, I was like, I don't think it's been used. It's sitting in the corner of the room, and he picks it up and just starts playing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
At around 1 hour and 35 minutes, when Ed goes to retrieve Janet from the closet, he burns his left forearm on a hot pipe. When he eventually gets her out and falls to the ground, the burn mark isn't there. Then in a later scene, the burn mark appears. There's some continuity issues.
Yeah.
Nothing to, freak out about.
The last one that I caught, going back to the fire truck, we don't hear the fire truck sound until you see it in frame. But you would definitely hear it.
I didn't
as soon as it came out of the tent.
Yep.
So I don't understand, because the lights were already flashing whenever it enters the frame.
Right.
And then that's as soon as you hear it. So it's like, I don't know, that just felt like for the sake of the shot, like they wanted you to not hear it until you saw it. I don't know. I was like, that was kind of weird.
That's a good catch. I did not even notice that. It just kind of snuck up on me.
Around 32 minutes, when Ed paints the photograph of the witch in the beginning, the witch.
I was like, did I miss that part?
Who put the witch? I didn't put that. That was on the internet. The nun, not the witch. Both the painting and his paintbrush are completely dry, which is interesting.
I will say, not to say like, oh yeah, I did catch that, but I did notice when he was painting.
Yeah,
they just
looked already done.
You can so tell that he's not painting. Like he just kind of dabbles a couple times, and then he's like, "It's all done." And I was like,
"Yeah,
you could have made that a little better."
Yeah. And then the last one, around 33 minutes. The red napkin in Ed Warren's hand disappears and reappears several times while he sits at the breakfast table. Huh. And honestly, I just thought the demon nun was just taking it. So
just pulling it out of his hand.
I'm just kidding.
Interesting. Thank you, Sir Adam.
Of course.
We are now entering
Change Chamber.
Change Chamber. Boom.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I kind of ripped this one to shreds.
I kind of did too. I'm so glad. I was kind of worried I was going to be alone in this. All right, we're in this together.
Okay.
For things that just don't make a ton of sense.
Yep.
So I already said the whole thing about the music being misplaced for the fire truck.
Yep.
But for me, it doesn't make a ton of sense because Lorraine sees, going back to this painting, she walks in. Ed's painting this nun,
dude,
who she's already had a vision of. Like she has seen that demon. And she doesn't say anything. Like, hey, I had a vision of that demon. Let's talk about it. Something's going on here. She just walks away. I didn't think that made sense at all.
No.
If I had a vision of like a demon killing Adam, and then I walked in and you were painting that demon,
I'd be pissed you didn't say anything.
I'd be like, Adam, you're painting a demon. She just doesn't say anything.
Wait a second, this is the one that kills you.
I thought that was kind of dumb. But
okay, on top of that, I literally put the same thing. Not that specific thing, but the same scene.
Okay.
He's like, I had this dream and wanted to paint it. And then it's like the most terrifying picture ever.
Yeah.
And then he's horrifying. Like, why don't you like it?
I know I'm no Picasso, but yeah, that was rough.
Dude, who on earth would, why would anyone want that painting anywhere near their house?
Yeah.
Especially when you have like a 10-year-old daughter.
Totally.
It's the most wild thing to me. I can't even imagine Marin walking up to me and I'm like, oh, I'm just painting this demon and I want to hang it on our wall.
Yeah. No shot that's happening.
That was crazy.
Yeah, the whole painting thing it could have been done better.
You don't like my painting?
It's great. So Adam and I too often go to Chili's with our wives and often talk about this fantasy book we're reading right now. We talked about, power and how it can be, the scale of power sometimes in
power dynamics.
Yes. Here, I will say one thing that bothers me, not bothers me, but doesn't make a ton of sense. As much as I love the scene where Ed is interviewing Bill, as Janet, and like, I love that shot, but he holds up the cross and like Bill starts to like cower in fear.
Yeah.
But then when there's like that room with Janet and all the crosses get flipped upside down, there's like 50 crosses in there and he's just like immune to them. So I don't know if it's like the power of the beholder, like maybe because it's Ed holding the cross, it has more power than just being hung up on a wall.
Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't feel, super like on par, but I don't know.
That's a good note.
It's kind of a nitpick.
There's like
but-
no rules.
Yeah. Little nitpick, but that was another one.
No, that's a good one. My next one, I don't know how the people didn't hear like half of the sounds throughout the film.
That is literally my next
Are you
one.
serious?
Yes.
So-
I completely agree.
It's crazy. Somebody's like yelling or crying, or a toy is at like
Screaming.
full volume, or a door is being slammed, like banged
Yeah.
on, and everyone's just asleep.
out. Everyone's out.
That didn't make any sense. That's unrealistic.
I completely agree. Especially when Janet is being attacked in that other room and it's like locked from the outside. And so like the mom can't get into her. There's like screaming for like 3 minutes. Just, it's so loud. And then Ed and Lorraine come out of their bedroom, like right next to that room. And they're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You just were asleep for the past 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Like,
It's crazy.
it just feels like for the sake of the plot.
Yep.
So
Yep. My next one, I don't understand this. Maybe you can educate me because maybe I just missed this.
okay.
How is the exact same demon Lorraine sees like 8 years earlier in a vision
Yeah.
is the same exact demon oppressing this family all the way in London?
Yes. I don't know. I can't.
That doesn't
educate
make
you
any sense.
because that doesn't make sense. And like, why lure them to London? You know, I don't know.
And like,
Couldn't
it's like
tell you.
8 year. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
an 8 year gap.
Huge difference.
It doesn't. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Kind of weird.
This has always bothered me, and I have to mention it. When she's tangled up in the walls, Janet, the imagery's creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Janet's like all like, you know, she's bent around those pipes.
Yep.
There's no good way to say that, but
Oh my god.
she's all like, you know,
She twisted up in the pipe.
yeah, she's like it's not humanly possible. But then the movie doesn't even try to show you how they get her out of there. Like they just pull her out.
Ed just pulls her out.
And it's like, I don't know how you would have shown that. It's just always bothered me for some reason.
It was just weird because Maurice is like, how would she get in there without like a demon?
Yeah.
And then Ed just pulls her out though.
Yeah, it's
It was
super,
like, that
super
doesn't line
easy.
up.
Yeah, I thought that was dumb.
All right, my next one. I didn't understand the whole thing about Lorraine not being able to pick up on a demonic presence until they left the house.
Yes. Okay.
That was so stupid. She's
That's
like,
one of my
I was
points
just
as well.
blocked. We had to leave for me to be able to even get it. And I was like,
Again, for the sake of
okay.
the plot. And I actually saw people talk about this, and I saved it
Really?
For this exact point because I thought they put it in a really funny way. They said, it's just unfortunate that her sight, which detects inhuman spirits, was blocked by an inhuman spirit. So it's like, that's like her gift is to like sense, you know, the presence of like these, you know, inhuman things. And then she
Yeah.
can't because it's blocking her. Like, what?
yeah,
I didn't think that made a ton of sense. either.
no.
So my next one is like bittersweet because like I do think the finale's good,
Right.
and I'll get into that more later. But adding to that, if the demon is powerful enough to throw Lorraine against the wall like that, like, and again, this is just obviously you wouldn't have a movie, so like this is just a nitpick, but like it could have just killed any one of them, Ed in particular, in like one swift motion.
Yeah.
You know, like snapped his neck. I think it's one of the Annabelle movies where like a demon does that to one of the guys. He's like literally holding a cross and it like breaks his fingers off from holding the cross and like snaps his neck.
Yeah.
Like, so if it wanted to, you know,
It could just kill everyone.
could have done that a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I feel like there were a few moments like that where like there's this great power being demonstrated where like things are being just hurled across the room or like, but then they're just using it for show mostly. And
Yeah.
I don't know. So that didn't always make sense for me.
It's kind of like even in the new Exorcist, remember whenever the priest walks in finally and then
Yeah.
it just like twists his head around.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if you could do that to a priest, why isn't anyone else dead?
Totally.
That was
Yeah.
stupid. All right, my next one. I don't understand how or why the demon was keeping this old man's spirit stuck in this sort of like hellish purgatory.
Yeah.
So I know Catholicism discusses the idea of purgatory, but even in the Catholic view, because I was like, I want to look into this. Purgatory is supposed to be a purification for souls in God's good grace after they die before they go to heaven. So that still doesn't even line up with the film's whole
Yeah.
reasoning for why he's stuck. And then Ed has a line saying, "Why don't you just go to heaven?" And the old man is like, "I'm not a heavenly man." And then they all just brush it off like that's normal.
Yeah.
This would be different, in my opinion, if it
I
were.
never thought about this.
It would be so different if it was like Insidious, where it's not based on a true story. But I have a hard time with it considering it's an actual case.
Totally.
And he's like, "Why don't you just go to heaven?" And the guy's like, "I'm not a heavenly man." Like that's the stupidest. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's a good catch because I did not even think about that. But that, now that you say that, that does not make sense.
No.
Any more from you?
I have one more.
Give it.
It's kind of a long one, so
give it to me.
I got you. Okay, my last note.
Okay,
It's about to get extremely technical and starts to weigh into the varying beliefs, especially within Christian denomination. So bear with me.
That's why we're the pros.
Especially,
that's what we're here for.
Especially everyone listening, just bear with me, okay?
Okay.
Lorraine says she condemns the demon back to hell.
Yes.
But demons don't come from hell. Hell is a place that is simply just the entire absence of God.
Right.
And this is going to, goes really technical into the weeds of like the Bible. So I do feel like it's a common misconception that people believe hell is more like the underworld in Greek mythology and Satan is more like Hades, where they both reside there.
Sure.
But it's not. Some theologians don't even believe that Satan and his followers, fallen angels or demons, are even stuck on earth, but rather they can still access heaven until God eternally punishes them in the lake of fire, sentencing them to hell, which is absence from him.
Oh, wow.
So because they don't have absence from him yet, they're not in hell yet, they still have access to heaven. That's what some theologians believe.
Oh, interesting.
So even my uncle is a pastor, and he was talking to me about this last year, and he was like,
"Really?
No, like I fully believe like Lucifer can go back up to heaven right now."
Really?
And I was like, I've never thought about this ever.
Yeah.
But I guess the Bible doesn't not say that either. It doesn't say that God cast them to the earth.
Yeah. So did he like say why he believes that, or do you not remember? I mean, I'm sure it's a very technical, theological answer.
Yeah, it does. I was going to say
over my head for sure, but that's interesting.
So all of that said, demons and Satan don't currently exist in hell, and most likely hell doesn't actually even exist yet, considering it exists outside of time, just like heaven. Then you start to get into the whole debate over whether or not we go directly to heaven or hell once we die, where some people rely on the scripture of the man on the cross next to Jesus asking for forgiveness, and Jesus says, "I will see you in paradise today."
Right.
And then some others rely on the scripture in Revelations talking about how those who died will be taken to heaven first. So it's really just one of those things we will never know.
Never know. There's so much we don't know.
I think the line that she says, "I condemn you back to hell," is just so stupid and doesn't line up with anything biblical.
In any way, any circumstance, however you want to look at it.
And this is a biblically based movie, so it kind of just pisses me off.
I get that.
And there were certain things here and there, like even Ed's line, like, why don't you just go to heaven? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So
that's a good catch. I didn't even think about it. I just hear that and just roll over. So that's a good catch.
There's your theology 101.
Heck yeah.
I'm not a theologian, so please don't. I'm going to get so much hate. Probably.
It's good to point out though, for a movie, like you said though, like for a movie that does use Christianity as, in a way,
as a foundation based on a true story. Yeah.
But no, seriously, like
Halo of light.
The weapon you use against, these demons, and you might as well get it right. So
yeah. All right, that's it for the Change Chamber.
Yeah, we did.
Is there
anything?
That
one a new one?
I know. Anything we would change about the film? Oh boy.
Okay.
You go first.
This is hard for me because I am going to sound like a hypocrite because I already said I liked one instance, but I know it's really good for horror and even in terms of like financial, like success. I just hate jump scares so much. And there's so many in this movie. That's not to say some of them were not effective. Some were, I think, really good, like the one we already talked about.
Yep.
But there were other ones that just like angered me because I'm like, gosh, it's literally just for the sake of getting you. And there's like better ways to scare your audience than to just give you like a super loud like sound or like a, So that was one thing that I would probably take out or at least water down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's just quantity. There's so much of it, but it's kind of just a preference thing. So not saying that's what like weighs the movie down. It's just one thing I would definitely
I
change.
agree. Yeah. I have a quick 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And then I have a last one, but I'll save that.
Okay.
Number 1, don't make the Nun series.
Okay.
Number 2, whatever you do not make the Nun series.
Yeah, that's a good point. You should have started with that.
Number 3, please, dear God,
I am begging you.
I beg you,
Please.
Number 4, don't make it a Conjuring universe. Just take the cases that the Warrens did and shoot those as
They
films.
should have stuck with that for sure.
Ah,
That actually kind of lines up with my next one because I talked about that. I would have dialed back in this movie because this is where it starts a little bit for me, as much as I love this movie. I would have dialed back on the more fantastical elements.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a few things that they incorporated into this film that felt like a bit of a stretch.
Big thumbs down.
Which I'm not a fan of, especially when there was nothing like that in the first film.
No.
And it works so well. Like The Conjuring, I mean, got everyone stirred up. People were like, this is like the new Exorcist of like this generation and whatever. Yep. Rightfully so. It's an incredible film. But they don't rely on the popcorn audience to like bring them their success. And I think they try to cater to that popcorn audience by throwing in really random things. And I'll talk more about that in my hot takes. But there's like a couple things in particular that I just was not a huge fan of.
Yeah.
But
no, my last one is probably exactly what you put in hot takes.
If it is, I'll tell you.
Take out the crooked man.
Yes.
For the love of everything good in the world.
Okay. I could not tell where to put that in terms of like on this episode.
It's definitely kind of a hot take, but it's also a change. Like it's the cheesiest thing in the entire film.
I think it's so dumb.
It's
I hate
so
it.
stupid.
And I think the reason I went down into the hot takes was because people I know advocate for it getting its own movie.
Yeah.
Like we want a Crooked Man movie. I think it's so dumb. I think it's like, it could be fine if you did it artistically, not in the Conjuring universe. Maybe, I don't know. But like,
don't take fantastical. Well, first and foremost, don't put fantasy into based on a real story ever. In any film, doesn't matter if it's horror.
The dog turns into like a 8-foot. Yeah.
And of course, people are going to leave the theater like, right, that was based on a true story. You know, but then don't take things out of it based on a true story and make their own fantasy movie.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Like The Nun.
Yeah.
Like that whole series now, the freaking Crooked Man, I just can't. I can't do it.
Took it to a different level that I was like, I can't. This doesn't sit with me. I don't like it.
It's studios caring more about money than they do about good, like making something great.
Here's a new character. Will he get a spin-off film? You tell us.
No, I swear I saw the Crooked Man for real.
So dumb. I did not like the Crooked Man at all.
It took me so much out of the demonic activity.
Yeah.
Ugh.
When it turned, like I already mentioned, but like there's a scene where the dog is like ringing the bell to go outside and the little boy walks up to it and it like shape shifts into this like Jack Skellington looking thing, and it just like you just lose it. You're like, this is so dumb. It doesn't fit in this context. I feel like they should have just focused on what they already had going.
Yeah,
because it never pays off in any way. It's just there for the pure sake of like scaring people, I guess. But it's not even that, like, compared to The Nun, it's not.
No,
I don't know. I just didn't like anything about it.
Ugh, I hated it. Casting.
I
thought they casted the Crooked Man really well, though.
Yeah, he was super good. I thought the casting was good.
I agree. I think it was good. But in correlation to how the actual characters, or how the real people looked, I was like, oh, whoa, like they look pretty close.
Yeah.
So I thought in that regard it was good.
Totally.
But there are a few things I was like,
yeah,
that might be a writing thing.
I get that.
Least favorite part of the film?
Well, anything with the Crooked Man.
Hands down.
And then this isn't least by any means, because the Crooked Man is a thing. But to me, the finale does fall a little flat, which this could be a hot take. I don't know. But I know it's unfair to continue to compare it to the first one. But the finale in the first film,
Dude.
is so good.
Yeah.
So I guess I just wanted something like that here, and it just does not feel the same at all. And I do love, that interaction with the demon and like that transformation we talked about. And the stakes are there because you love, Ed and Lorraine Warren. But in terms of just like how I felt in the finale of this film versus the finale of the first one is so jarring. It makes you so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, and it feels way more like
a huge climax.
Realistic climax. Yeah, it's a lot. So I would have just gone a different route, I guess, for the finale. But if I'm having to pinpoint my least favorite part, it's just the Crooked Man.
Yeah. I would say the same. First time I remember watching it, I just remember that's like the only thing that really, really took me out.
Yeah.
Whenever I saw it in theater, was seeing the Crooked Man, especially in that dog scene. I was like, oh my gosh.
What was that part where like Ed, I think it's when he's in the house by himself.
And then you see it shoot through the wall.
It like shoots up into the ceiling and there's that crack that like forms and then it like busts out of a closet and you're like, what was the point of that?
I was like,
it's just exerting energy for no reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Title of the film and movie poster. Here's the thing.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard because
titling a film, anything 2, like The Conjuring 2 is like as plain Jane as Aloe Yoga. But no hate to Aloe. If you want to sponsor us, just let me know. But I don't know. I get it though, because like there's not many other ways to go about it. I think I do just appreciate when a sequel at least adds like a subtitle to the title. So like, or even like alters the original a little bit. Like I know it's silly, but like Alien to Aliens, I don't mind that. I think it's, I just don't always like having that number in the title.
But don't disagree at all.
Or Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a great example. Like
yeah.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban,
Yeah.
They just have different titles and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, honestly, make it The Conjuring and then title The Case.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And then you don't have to have like, then you could have 10 Conjurings with just different cases. I mean,
The Conjuring something in Enfield or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something to work with there.
Yeah.
What about the poster? What'd you think?
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
I don't like that you can kind of see the demon nun in the corner of the room.
I agree.
In the poster. I think the poster being the room with the painting on the wall and the eyes glowing in the painting.
Oh, that's a great,
would be better only if the Nun series was never created.
Yeah.
Because with the Nun, they really capitalized on the nun being so freaking creepy.
Yes.
I think they could have done the same thing because the painting room scene was just so good.
Yeah, I agree.
They could have done that.
Man, it's funny you say that though. I have it pulled up now. I did not even notice the nun in the poster when I first looked at it. It does look silly.
Yeah.
I would take out the nun. I might take off that close up of the hand.
Yeah.
They were onto something, but yeah.
It was close. I mean, it's not bad. Like I said,
could have been better.
There are things that I liked.
Yeah.
But
what would be a worse name for the film title?
Mine are so bad.
I have some very tragic news.
No.
I sat there forever and tried so hard. I was completely stumped, so I left it to go back to later.
And you forgot.
And I forgot.
You know what's funny is this happens to me all the time.
I'm blank.
Dude, that happened to me. I told you that happened to me and talked to me, and I just came up with one on the spot, and it was the worst thing I've ever said.
I forgot about that. That's impressive though, because like asking me to, there's just nothing for me on this one.
It's all right.
An American demon in London would have been good.
Sorry,
but
sorry I said that 4 hours ago.
It's okay. What do you have for us?
You could say it right now, and I'll just cut
that part out.
Okay, I have 4.
4.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was kind of on a roll. I'm not gonna lie with this one.
Man.
All right.
Okay.
You're so bad. 2000 and None, A Space Odyssey.
Oh my god. I don't know why I'm picturing like a photoshopped movie poster.
It's like the nun floating in the space.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we're off to a good start.
Yeah, thank you. It just goes downhill, so
okay, good.
No expectations. Number 2, The Devil Doesn't Actually Wear Prada. Number 3, Nunny McPhee takes the kids on an adventure.
No, not the Nunny McPhee. That should be illegal.
Takes kids. Oh man,
How did your brain even get there?
I don't know. Well, what's funny is I was with Ben. He made a Nanny McPhee joke last night, and I don't know. It was just fresh on my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, Nanny McPhee, that fits.
Oh, that's funny.
And then Crooked Crackers.
Crooked what?
Crackers. That's all I got.
You know, you made up for my lack of titles.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. Okay,
Good stuff. Good stuff.
we finally made it to the hot
Finally
takes
made
hallway.
Oh,
Man, I don't know how hot these are gonna be. I mean, they're like hot in
Yeah.
regards to like negative,
yeah.
but like
They're
I'm
not too
sure our
spicy.
audience will probably agree.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Nick's gonna come swinging. You know, Nick had some good hot takes about the Pearl.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
He already sent them to you?
Ooh. I'll have to tell you them. I'm excited
interested.
for our hot takes hallway episode.
Me too. I loved that last
Only
time.
a couple more.
Heck yeah.
Actually, one more.
One more?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Because the next one will be our 21st.
Yeah,
and
that'll
then-
be fun.
yeah.
Well, are we starting with our favorite reviews?
Yes. Starting with the 10 stars.
Starting with the 10. I only have one for each this time.
Oh, wow.
I know. I dialed it back.
All of mine are Letterboxd. No
Okay.
IMDb's.
Oh, okay. Well, mine are both IMDb.
Oh, sweet.
So we're
Perfect.
covering all the bases.
First one's from Silly Milk
Silly Milk.
on Letterboxd.
Love that.
I fell asleep because it was so comforting.
Well, you should go to therapy.
I already called the police. They're on their way.
Okay. Good.
My next one's from Mal.
Okay.
The Valak painting scene still haunts me to this day.
Okay.
Good
Yeah.
one. My next one is from Marie Ria. Average London experience. So
Okay.
don't go to London. And then my last one
Beads on toast.
is from Evan.
Okay.
Best film of the trilogy, Vera Farmiga, Marry Me.
Wow.
So pretty big 10-star accusation there.
Yeah, I
Claim.
get it.
Yeah.
And then they did get married, so good for
Yeah,
them.
that's crazy. I know. Evan and Vera.
That's crazy. Okay. Mine comes from Jake Fear 11527, who said The Conjuring 2 is one of the best movie sequels I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of sequels. I loved the first one, and when I found out about the second one, I thought, yeah, I don't know, most likely going to be really bad. Then I saw the trailer and thought, this doesn't look half bad. Then I finally got to see it tonight, and I couldn't believe how amazed I was at it. It was scary, suspenseful, and jumpy. I can't. That just got so frothy in my mouth, saying suspenseful and jumpy. One thing I loved about it is that they get straight into the action. They don't wait 20 minutes to scare the living hell out of you. They like to throw in a jump scare 2 to 3 minutes into the film. They don't add some crappy, boring 20-minute introduction scene no one cares about. It's boom into it. So, two things that stuck out for me on this one. We always say, when people say this is one of the best movie sequels or this is one of the best whatever, we're always like, you need to watch more movies. But then he hit us with that, I've seen a lot of sequels. So he was like, don't put me in check because I've seen them.
Wow.
He's just standing with it.
Yeah.
But I did agree. I do think the film is good about, it's not so drawn out. Because sometimes you get these movies where you're not going to get anything until the last 10 minutes, which is fine if it's built effectively. But for a movie like this, I do think they do a really good job at handling how it should all play out. And starting with Amityville Horror, which we already talked about, and then moving from that, such a profound, popular case into like this more unknown case. But they do just throw you right into the action. And I think they just pace it really well. So I agreed with him on that point. So
Totally. It's a pretty solid review.
well, thanks.
1 stars.
1 stars.
I have a few.
Okay.
They're all from Letterboxd again. Basil534. After watching this movie, I went to bed only to wake up with blood coating one side of my face the next morning. It was because of a bloody nose. But I still had nightmares for 3 weeks after.
Oh,
I blame
gosh.
this movie. This film is the sole reason I won't watch scary movies. I have flashbacks every time I hear Elvis.
Oh my gosh.
So
Sounds like you got to work through some stuff.
I know. Next one from Flor Ladu. Bad movie. Monster powers are all over the place, and the motive for the monster is trash.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Third one, Ricky. 20 minutes of boring silence, predictable jump scares. Absolutely terrible. The Conjuring universe might be my number one most hated franchise in all of horror next to Scream. Stop making horror films, James Wang. 0 out of 10.
Oh, see, you hit.
Ooh, I know. My last one, Elena Mihis. Andre fell asleep because it was too boring. Saul Goodman didn't die, and the nun was deaf in It Girl. I didn't understand any of that.
That does not even make sense.
So,
okay. I'm still perplexed by the Scream comments.
I know. Ugh.
Okay, my 1-star review comes from Spicy Taco 12345. They said, "Okay, everyone, you can choose what to believe when it comes to the user reviews, but my point of view, this has to be on the low end of James Wan's work. The movie had its moments of scary things happening, but compared to all the other works, this is quite a letdown. Majority of the tension scenes were very obvious and highly predictable. For example, the boy hears something scary, looks around the corner to be nothing, looks away, and spooky noise happens again. He's confused, slight tension, then boom, jump scare. Comparing to the original that shied away from using CGI or any kind of showing of the haunting, The Conjuring 2 reverted to using concerning B-grade level of CGI, which did not flatter anything. There were plot holes, poor dialogue in some cases, too many supernatural storylines going on at once, and it had me going, why is this even included?" So they had a lot to say, but I think the comparison between The Conjuring 1 and The Conjuring 2 is fair, just because The Conjuring 2, like we've already said, uses so much more of that Hollywood spice, that like CGI and those fantastical elements. And so I thought that was pretty fair.
I totally agree. Do we have any hot takes?
Well, I've already said the crooked.
Yep, that's true. My first one. Before the Nun series destroyed its credibility, I thought the demon was potentially the creepiest demon ever created for a film.
Yeah.
Because
that's fair.
Before this, I thought the one created for Insidious was probably the creepiest. Another James Wan film. But then I saw this first time watching it, had never seen it before. And I was like, that's got to be the creepiest demon ever made.
Yeah. I think that is totally fair because, again, I remember seeing it in theaters thinking, like, I have not seen, a horror figure that looks like that creepy in a long time.
Yeah.
My hot take is kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, though.
Ooh,
which is why it's a little hot take. Because I think the Nun or Valak is super creepy. But for me, I think the demon or the witch or whatever of Bathsheba from the original is creepier to me, which is where it gets hot because I just, again, and this is not a review of The Conjuring, but just the moments Bathsheba has in the first one, like, scared the crap out of me when I saw it in theaters. So that's my hot take. But
that's a good hot take, though. I
think of the dresser scene where she's like on top, crouched.
I know. I know.
Yeah, hated that. But visually, I guess, the Nun is more striking. So I think it goes down to preference again.
And I would say the Nun is creepy, not doing anything with its face.
Yes.
Being still.
I agree, actually.
I didn't like whenever it opened its mouth and it was like a monster.
Yes. When it's just being subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So, yeah. No, that's good to, mention Bathsheba because
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think the hallway shot with the demon nun is one of the creepiest shots ever created in a film.
Dude, I said that too.
You're lying.
Yeah,
for real.
Man.
I thought that was kind of a hot take.
No, well, I think it could be for sure because I know our buddy Nick is probably going to be like slamming his face on whatever he's listening to this on, but it's such an iconic shot. It's so good. And it's just framed so well and the contrast of the colors. It just works.
Yeah.
There are not many shots where you're just looking at it like, ugh. Like I don't like that.
I agree. Yeah. And I said that's what nightmares are made of, looking down a hallway, like we said. So
my last hot take. I've never been interested in the Amityville case in any film adaptation, and I can't explain it. But anytime it's in a movie or a TV show, I just am turned off from it. I don't know why.
Really?
Which sounds really insensitive because it was like a real case where people died. So it's not like for my, entertainment.
You're turned off from the entertainment of it.
But yes, when people it's just not as, it just doesn't have that flair for me. And I don't know why. So I appreciate it for what it is in like culture, but like I don't know, I've just never. But I know some people are like big Amityville horror fans, and so, but as a horror reviewer, it's just never been my favorite.
You know, it's funny because we'll just go ahead and say it. Amityville Horror is not in our top 50.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like we're probably gonna get crap for that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I know a lot of people love those movies.
I don't disagree, actually.
So, I don't know.
All right, I have two more. I'll go through them quick.
Do it.
This is a glorified monster flick with the makeup to look like a realistic demonic case study. So the film would have been 1,000 times better if it wasn't so dramatized.
Yeah.
And I think Juan shoots himself so much in the foot trying to make these scary instead of just telling the actual story.
Yeah, because
The actual story itself is scary.
Yeah, you don't need to spice it up.
And that your 1-star review on IMDb, I think, put it perfectly. Like, what The Conjuring 1 did so well was just tell the story. Like,
It's
you don't
simple.
need all the other B-level CGI stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
My last one, it hit me for the first time watching this, and I've seen it several times. How on earth are you going to have a demonic film that uses the power of God to cast out the demon without even mentioning the name of Jesus?
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, it blew my mind. Like, I was
Yeah,
like,
that is true.
maybe they did and I just missed it, but I started to be attentive to it about halfway through and I was like, wait a second. Like,
They
what?
never did.
They don't ever say it.
Yeah,
They
that's-
never say Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they say it in the first one. Maybe they don't.
I'm trying to think. Well, I haven't seen the first one so long. I'm trying to think for the second one. I was like going back through like all the dialogue. I guess it's
just weird to me that you can, like, in the film, like, you can cast out a demon just by
Yeah.
saying its name too. Maybe
Yeah.
that's like things that don't make sense, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Knowing the name gives you power over it.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
So there's some theological issues here.
And I did have a tiny one. They show the nun too much.
Yeah.
And then they made an entire movie.
Yeah.
So-
Again, the subtleties are what
I
win.
know.
So,
But it's fine.
okay.
What are hot takes we agree or disagree with?
I said, which this always happens with a sequel, but they say this one's better than the first one.
Yep.
I'm not normally as passionate about this, but for this one I am because I think that is some BS to
Yeah.
say this is better than the original because the original was like miles ahead of this one. Not to say this one's not good. It's on our list. I feel like I always have to clarify that. But there's no way this one's better.
It
than the
doesn't
first
hold
one.
a candle.
No.
Nope. And then that was my first one. And then my second one was I agree with people hating on the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like, if you would have kept it just number 1 and 2,
Yeah.
nope. But everything else, I'm like, yeah, you deserve hate now because that's
Just made
freaking
a ton
stupid.
of money. Is
Yeah.
it Warner Brothers? I think Warner Brothers made.
Yep, they
Yeah.
did.
Those Hollywood execs, baby.
Freaking kill me.
Yep.
What is the hottest of all hot takes?
Now I don't know if this counts, but the
Dude, I
Dragging
put the
s-
same thing.
dragging Scream into this has to be the hottest because I love the Scream
the
movies.
fact that they were like, it just hurt my feelings.
Yeah, no, that's painful.
I read
'Cause
it. It was like, I hate this as much as the Scream franchise. I was like,
I love the Scream movies, every single one of them. I mean, obviously there's some that are lower, but like, dude, that's rough.
it hurts.
Yeah, I will never. They'll never make me hate you.
I
at
shed
the
tears.
Scream franchise.
Yeah. Do we agree with the rating? 7.3 out of 10. I said no.
This is rare for me. I said no.
I said 7 out of 10.
I said 6.8,
Whoa, we dropped it 5.
which is
0.5.
probably too much. I was getting cranky thinking about all the things that pissed me off in this movie.
No, I know.
So, but then, I mean, it's a good film.
I might
But
be in the middle. 6.9.
I'm thinking about some of the other films we've watched that are normally in that range, like 6.8, 6.9, and I'm like, I feel like it should be higher. But this one, I feel like
yeah.
it has its flaws. But
Yeah. Well, honestly, the thing that was making it hard for me to put it into the 6s was literally just the scene of the painting.
see, that does make it tough because that scene carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But
But I know.
it is what it is.
It is what it is. If you would have asked 18-year-old Adam, he would have given it an 8.5 out of 10.
Honestly, yeah, I probably would have put it like top 10 movie, like top 10 horror films of all time.
Yeah, we definitely changed your mind.
Yeah, for sure. After saying it 100 times, that does it to you.
Yeah.
No, I think it just growing up and watching other horror films from like some of the greats, and then watching this one back, you're like, it wasn't as miraculous as I thought it was, but
Yeah.
it's still good.
And honestly, I feel like the more we dissect, especially horror films, like the more that I'm able to look for things better.
Totally.
And
I've got a lot more technical.
I just dissected this one a lot more than I ever have.
Yeah. I'm so glad though, because I really thought I was going to be alone on this.
Well, good. What is the chill factor? The chillest of chills, the best part of the film.
Yeah.
We both
Spoiler
agree.
alert, but the nun in the hallway has got to take it.
Yeah.
I mean, that shot, it's so good. That's what you walk out of the theater thinking about, though.
Yeah.
And that's what you want with horror. We always talk about it, but like, what are you going to be thinking about on the drive home? And that is what I thought about after the film was like, that shot is haunting. It's so creepy.
Yep.
And no matter how many times I've seen this movie, that shot just never gets old.
I agree.
So,
yeah.
I appreciate it.
Final Rex. What you think?
I would recommend this to 90% of horror fans, I think. I know there's some who are like, which is totally fair, like don't want to watch anything with demons in it. My only argument for this one is because they always overcome it with the power of Christ. Somehow without saying Jesus' name.
I was gonna say.
But so I guess, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, it delivers on a lot of fronts and, it's like a classic. The Conjuring movies are good. James Wan did a great job when he was there. So if like that's your speed, then go for it. But I also know the crowd that's way more into like the slasher horror side of things, and we will get into those as well. So we're not carving those out. But for people who are strictly going to stick to those, then this is probably not for you. But
yeah. I will say, if you like monster flicks, I think this is probably in your wheelhouse because it's borderline monster flick.
Yeah, which I didn't even think about it that way until you brought that up. But it's very true.
And if you plan to watch it only because you enjoyed the first one, I would say don't.
Yeah.
Sadly. Where can I watch this? 'Tis not free.
'Tis not free.
Must be rented on Amazon Prime or anywhere else.
Yeah. What are you going to do about that one? Not much.
What are you going to do?
Well,
that wraps
up. That wraps up The Conjuring 2. We want to extend a massive thank you to all of our listeners for tuning into the Chamber of Chills. Your support means... That sounded like Irish for a second.
Yes,
your support. I don't know.
Your support.
That's one accent I could never do.
I can't do it. I just tried
to save my
life. I failed
life
both times. So
your support does mean the world to us, as we've said so many times before. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to follow us on social media at the Chamber of Chills. We are coming up, as we already talked about, on our Hot Takes Hallway episode. So if you've got some of those spicy opinions, really on any of the films I guess we've talked about since our last one, just send them our way and we will talk about them.
I will say, just to add too, if you guys listening want to help us out, one of the biggest things that you can help us out with, because right now all of our growth is organic, is just to share this with people that you think would like films.
With your friends and family.
Or to repost on Instagram.
Yeah, honestly, even that would be, go a long ways. So,
so
help us out. Then before we officially close, got a little riddle.
A riddle? Blimey.
I am excited for this next episode, I will say.
Dude, yes.
Okay. I hope I have the right one. Okay, I'll just guess. I'm pretty sure I got this right. From the mind of a king, a tale on the screen. A tale of vengeance, a high school scene. A prom night gone wrong with a vengeful theme read, where telekinetic powers bring dread. First of its kind, but not the last we've seen. Name this horror classic where the title's 18.
Yep, you're right.
Thank goodness. That would have been really awkward.
Yep. No, I'm very excited. We're about to get into some
juicy
spoiler
ones.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler
alert. We have a few classics coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to...
So you better gather your bearings.
Gather your bearings.
Get those... Yep, get them ready. Yeah, that is all for us today. These are the Chill Boys sitting in the chamber.
And we're signing off.
Until next time. I know you're excited. We will catch you guys later. Love and appreciate you guys.
Love you guys.
Bye.